Hello everyone, this is Professor Nilesh Kade, and today we are going to learn the types of companies. As you can see, these are the basis on which the types of companies have been defined. On the basis of formation, that is incorporation, we have these three types of companies: chartered companies, statutory companies, registered companies. And on the basis of number of members, we have two types, that is private and public. On the basis of liability of members, we have these three types: a company limited by shares, company limited by guarantee, and unlimited company. On the basis of control, we have two types, that is holding and subsidiary. On the basis of ownership, government companies and non-government companies, and all other types of companies like foreign company, one-person company. We also call one-person company as OPC. Small company, banking company, listed company, and dormant company. So let us learn all these one by one. On the basis of formation, these are the three types: chartered companies, statutory companies, and registered or incorporated companies. Chartered companies, I will read this all. Royal chartered companies are companies created by royal charter. This means they are granted power or a right by the monarch or by special order of a king or queen. Now this is more important. Special order of a king or queen is very much necessary to create a chartered company. And the best example is Royal Chartered Company. The best example is East India Company, BBC, and Bank of England, etc. All these are Royal Chartered Companies because they were formed with a special order of a king or queen. As you know, East India Company was formed by the Britishers in India, and it was formed by a special order from the Queen Elizabeth. Statutory companies. Statutory companies are companies incorporated by means of special act passed by central or state legislature. They are mostly invested with compulsory powers and are responsible to carry out some special businesses of national importance. Some examples of statutory companies are Reserve Bank of India, formed under RBI Act, Life Insurance Corporation of India Act, that is LIC Act 1956. Now these are statutory companies. They are formed by the government for the purpose of serving the government. Reserve Bank of India, it is an institution formed under RBI Act. LIC formed under LIC Act. Similarly, we have ICAI formed under ICAI Act, ICSI. These are institutions. Okay, these are not companies, these are institutions, not for profit, but they will help the government in carrying the government's work. And the registered or incorporated companies, all companies which are registered under Companies Act, under the Companies Act, will be called as incorporated companies. Like this is the example, Google India Private Limited is an example of incorporated company. Now there are many other examples. You consider Tata Motors, or you consider Maruti Suzuki Limited, or any other like Reliance Power. All other companies are registered companies. Now on the basis of members, private company and public company, these are the two categories. See, on the basis of members, private company and public company, these are the two different categories. Private company is defined under section 2 and subsection 68. A private company is one in which two or more persons get the company registered under the Companies Act. If there is one person, we call it as OPC, one person company. That is also a type of private company. I repeat, OPC, that is one person company, is a type of private company. But definition says private company must have two or more persons. They get registered company under the Companies Act. The securities of such a company are not listed on a recognized stock exchange. The shares of that company are not listed on the stock exchange. It is because they cannot transfer it. and they cannot invite the public to subscribe for the shares. Yes, it is not for the public because it is private company, right? The members of a private company are restricted from transferring the shares. I repeat, the members of a private company are restricted from transferring the shares because only private people hold the shares. The maximum number of members in a private company is 200. And a public company, section 2 of 71, a company which is formed by a minimum number of 7 members with a lawful object is termed as a public company. So there are two things given here. Minimum number of members is 7 and with a lawful object. You cannot create a public company with illegal objective. This does not mean that you can create a private company with illegal objective. Obviously, any company that you are going to register should be formed with the lawful object. Its securities are listed on a recognized stock exchange and its shares are freely transferable. See, the listed companies listed on stock exchange, all the listed companies are public company. Remember this. It is because the shares are freely transferable. Further, there is no limit on the maximum number of members. Unlimited. There can be any number of members for such company. The subsidiary of a public company is also considered as a public company. This means that if there is a holding company which is public company and the subsidiary company is a private company, in that case also subsidiary company will be considered as a public company even if it is a private limited company. Now on the basis of liability of members, let us check the chart. On the basis of liability of members, company limited by shares, company limited by guarantee and unlimited company. These are the three types. So company limited by shares, which is defined under section 2 of 2 subsection 22. Company limited by shares is one in which memorandum of association of the company specifies that the liabilities of the shareholders are limited to the amount unpaid on shares which they own. This is the biggest advantage of a company, and this is the biggest difference between the company and the partnership firm. Here, the member who holds the share is only limited to the face value of that share. The liability of the member who is holding the share is limited to, the liability is limited to the amount unpaid on such shares. For example, if there is a share of rupees 100 and I have paid 60 rupees already to the company. Now if the company wants more money from me, company can only take 40 rupees from me. It cannot take more than 40 rupees because I have already paid 60. So 60 plus 40 is 100. Face value is 100 rupees and therefore I am already paid. I am fully paid the shares amount. Right? So I am not paying any more than that. That is the meaning of company limited by shares. Hence the shareholders are liable only to the extent of the amount that is not paid on their holdings. So if I am not paid 40 rupees, then I have to pay that 40 rupees, not more than that. And then company limited by guarantee. Section 2 of 21 says company in which the liability of members is limited to a definite sum stated in the memorandum of association of the company. There will be a definite sum which is already stated in the memorandum of association. Henceforth, I will call memorandum of association as only memorandum. Now, if there is a company which is limited by guarantee, in the memorandum, it is clear, it will be written that members will only pay 1 lakh rupee for each share, or every member will be paying only 1 lakh rupee and members will have the guarantee of 1 lakh rupee. So that 1 lakh is the guarantee limit. You cannot take more than 1 lakh rupee from that member, meaning that the liability of the member is confined by the memorandum to a stipulated sum. In my example, I said 1 lakh rupee, as they have guaranteed to contribute to the company's assets in the event of winding up the company. Now you may ask me, sir, all members, do they give the same limit? Are they limited to the same amount, same sum? The answer is no. The answer is no. There can be different members with different sum amount, which will be stated in the memorandum, and their guarantee, their liability will be limited to that sum. So if I say today I will contribute to the company's assets 5 lakh rupees, so I have to pay 5 lakh rupees because it is given in the memorandum. If I pay 2 lakh rupee out of 5 lakh rupee, I still have to pay 3 lakh rupee, which will be called as unpaid sum, right? So this is the meaning of company limited by guarantee. And now unlimited company, this is like your partnership firm. There will be no limit, there will be no limit on the liability. So in this type of company, the liability of a member ends when he or she ceases to be a member of that company. So if that person does not become a member, then the liability also ends over there. So these are the 3 types on the basis of liability of members: company limited by shares, company limited by guarantee, and unlimited company. And on the basis of control, these are the 3 types: holding company, subsidiary company, and associate company. Holding company, section 2 of 46, a parent company that owns and controls the management and composition of the board of directors of another company is termed as holding company. If there is some subsidiary company and there will be a holding company whose composition, the board of directors here in the subsidiary company will be held by the holding company. Holding company controls the management and administration of this subsidiary company. In that case, holding company is defined as the company, a parent company that owns and controls the management and composition of the board of directors of another company, that is subsidiary company, right? So subsidiary company's definition says like this: a company whose more than 51% of its total share capital is owned by another company. In case there is another company, that is holding company, which is holding 51% of its total share capital or more, then that will be a holding company, and this will be a subsidiary company. This is also called as a son company or a daughter company, and this is also called as a parent company. And then associate company, section 2 subsection 6, a company in which another company possesses a considerable influence over the company, then the latter company is called as an associate company. So suppose there are 2 companies, A and B. A has substantial influence over B company. Let us consider there are 2 companies. Let us say this one company A and this is B company. So if these 2 companies have substantial control over this company, then we call it as an associate company. Which company? Not this one, the latter company is called as associate company. The term considerable influence implies controls a minimum of 20% of total share capital. So considerable impact means what? You should have a minimum of 20% of total share capital or business decisions as per the agreement. So whatever is the agreement, if you have more than 20% of share capital or the business decision taking power, then you are an associate company. Now on the basis of ownership, there are 2 only: government company and non-government company. Government company is as defined in this section: the company whose at least 51% paid up share capital is owned by central government or state government, or partly by central government and partly by state government. Further, it also covers a company whose holding company is a government company, right? So if there is any company whose 51% paid up share capital is owned by either of the government, central government or state government, partly or jointly, however may be the case, if the total paid up share capital is more than 51%, then that is called as government company. If not, it will be a non-government company, because that is owned by private persons. Now other types of companies, let me check the detail chart. On the basis of ownership, government company and non-government companies, and other types like foreign company, one-person company, small company, nidhi company, listed company, and dormant company. Let us understand that other types of companies. Foreign company, section 2 of 42. Any company registered outside the country that has business place in India or by way of an agent traditionally or electronically undertakes business operations in country in any manner, that will be a foreign company. I repeat, any company registered outside the country that has business place in India, like for example your Amazon company. If Amazon is not registered in India but it has a place of business in India, we call it as foreign company, right? Or by way of an agent traditionally or electronically and undertakes business operations in the country in any manner. There are many such companies like Walmart. Walmart is not registered in India but it has business place in India. That will be a foreign company for us, right? OPC, one-person company. We will learn more about this later, but let us only understand the meaning. OPC or OPC or one-person company is a new category of company introduced in the Companies Act 2013 to encourage startups and young entrepreneurs, wherein single person can incorporate the entity. There is only one person who will go for registration and get the registration done. It also promotes the concept of corporatization of the business, right? Concept of corporatization means you have a small business, very small business, but it is a company. It can be a company because you are registering your business in Companies Act. It should be noted that it is not the same as a sole proprietorship. Yes, it is not the same as sole proprietorship. You may have a small grocery shop or a small hardware shop or a small retail shop, stationery shop. Now these are the example of sole proprietorship, but you can get registered as a company, right? But once you get registered as a company, all the provisions given in the Companies Act are applicable to you, in a way that OPC has separate legal existence with the limited liability. Yes, because sole proprietorship firm is an unlimited entity. If you get registered your business, you have this added advantage, and that is you have separate legal entity. You have separate legal existence, right? Now small company. Small private limited company is a type of company having paid up capital up to rupees 50 lakh and whose turnover has not crossed 2 crore in any financial year is considered as a small company. I repeat, small private limited company is a type of company having capital up to rupees 50 lakh and whose turnover has not crossed rupees 2 crore in any financial year. So your turnover should not cross 2 crore rupees and your capital should not cross 50 lakh rupees limit. In only that case you will be called as small company, right? Another requirement is that to be considered as a small company, it should not have been formed by a company which is not small company. Like if the parent company is not a small company, then the resulting company cannot be a small company. There are certain exemptions available to the small companies which are almost same as that of a one-person company. So if you get your business registered as OPC, there are exemptions, there are some relaxations given to you because you are the only one person, because you are a small company. Similarly, there is a small company, there are exemptions given, there are relaxations given in the Companies Act. right? So the government filing fee for MCA filing is considerably low for a small company, considerably low. So if you are registering as a small company, your registration fee and all other charges will be as low as possible. Now section 8 company is also called as a not-for-profit company. A company formed under a charitable objective, that is to encourage commerce, science, sports, art, research, education, social welfare, environment protection, religion, etc., comes under the category of section 8 company. These companies are given special license by the central government. Further, they use money earned as a profile for the promotion of the object, and thus dividend to members is not paid. What happens in this not-for-profit company? There will be members and they will contribute to the company, and all the assets, all that money will be used for promoting or to encourage the commerce, science, sports, art, the research, education, social welfare, and all other things like this, because they are not making any profit. And any profit, if it arises, it should be used only for the business purpose. It should be used only for the promotion of the object, and therefore dividend to members is not paid. So profit cannot be shared amongst the members. Such companies cannot convert itself into some other company. You cannot convert yourself into some other company. But if you have a small company and you want to convert yourself into a large company or any other company, for example, you can do that. But here in not-for-profit company, you cannot convert yourself into any other company. But if you really want to convert, what you can do is you have to wind up this company and start a new company. Nidhi companies. Nidhi companies have been in existence right from the days of yore. Their primary objective is to support the habit of thrift, that is, habit of savings. It was promoted by public-spirited men drawn from affluent local persons, lawyers and professionals, etc. In short, Nidhi companies are those companies where they encourage the general people, very common people, to make the savings regularly and invest it somewhere and get the returns after a particular period. You might have heard about the chit funds. So the chit funds are actually the Nidhi companies. Dormant company, section 455. Dormant means inactive or inoperative. A dormant company is an excellent opportunity to start a company for a future project or hold an asset or intellectual property without having significant accounting transactions. This is because I have particularly made it star. It is because you are not making any significant accounting transaction, because you are a dormant company, because you are inactive company, you are not making any accounting transactions. Also, you can hold the asset, you need not sell it, because you are a inactive company, you are still existing. It does not mean, dormant company does not mean that you are not existing. You are existing, but a sleeping company. You are not doing any activity and you are inoperative, and therefore you can hold asset, and therefore intellectual property, if you have any other intangible asset, you can hold it and you need not have any significant accounting transactions. This does not mean that there are no accounting transactions happening. There are transactions, and such transactions do occur in the dormant company, but not significant, right? On the other hand, if a company has not filed in its annual returns for 2 consecutive years, then such a company will be also called as dormant company. So if there is such a company whose annual returns are not filed for 2 consecutive years, then you will be called as dormant company. Listed company. It is such a company which is registered in any of stock exchange. There are 22 plus stock exchanges in India. In any stock exchange, if you list your shares, then you are a listed company. I repeat, all the listed companies are public limited companies. Public financial institution. The companies which are engaged in financial and investment businesses and whose 51% or more paid up share capital is held by central government and are established under any act are termed as public financial institutions. Like for example, LIC, ICICI, IDFC, IDBI, UTI, etc. All these are public financial institutions. It is because 51% or more paid up share capital is held by government companies. Now, can you call this as a government company? Yes, but they are financial institutions. Not all companies are financial institutions, but all public financial institutions are financial institutions. Also, all public financial institutions are government companies because they hold more than 51% of share capital, right? So that's all about the types of companies. All the types that we have seen here, right, have been discussed in detail. Any doubts, any clarifications, if you require, do comment in the comment box right below this video, right? See you in next video, where we are going to learn about the differences between public company and private company. So see you in next video. Thank you.